I bet you've heard the phrase, if you don't use it, you'll lose it, right? Well, it turns out that that's exactly the case for developing children, and it can mean the difference between a risk-taking teen and one who gets his thrills from playing a sport. Recent research in brain imaging is showing us the way. I'm Rachel Bozing. Welcome to My County, the show that explores services and programs provided to you by Los Angeles County. Joining me today is James DeCarly, a research analyst in behavioral sciences for the Injury and Violence Prevention Program of the Los Angeles County Department of Public Health. Welcome, Jim.
Thank you.
Now, let's just start with, this is so exciting. The brain changes over time, and that means we have an opportunity to head off risky behavior. Begin at the top.
What we see with a lot of brain imaging techniques over the last 5 to 10 years is we've learned that the brain is very plastic. It changes throughout not only childhood and adolescence, but throughout adulthood, depending on our experiences and our environment.
And so what that means is our experiences early on can really have an impact on decisions we make later on. Let's start with young kids, 5 to 10 years old. That's a really important time, right?
Yes, it is. What happens during the elementary years of ages 5 to 10 is we have what's called the nerve proliferation stage in the brain. And this is the brain's ability to fire many neurons to give the child the ability to partake in many different types of activities. I mean, you see children this age, they have excellent memory. They're just quick at remembering, identifying something. They're very good at excelling in various activities, wanting many different types of experiences, learning experience from dance to music, being interested in many different things. And this is because of the brain firing many neurons to allow for a lot of experiences, so that when they go into adolescence at 11 and 12 years old, then during the pruning phase, there's enough to actually carry them through adolescence and exhibit some of those experiences.
Okay, so in layman's terms, pop, between 5 to 10, everybody is all over the place and kids can learn a lot. And then of course at 11 and 12, you just said a buzzword, pruning. What's happening at 11 and 12 and then they get into adolescence?
Right. The synaptic pruning is the way the brain begins to prune off various types of experiences that are unused and not needed. And this is the way the brain makes itself stronger in certain types of experiences. And that's what we see in adulthood and childhood experiences and interests. And as you get older through adulthood, you find them being more fine-tuned, and that's the brain doing that. In general, adults and children, they prune about 2% per year. When we hit adolescence, it's about 15% per year. So it's significant pruning, and that's why we see a lot of adolescents. Parents saying, my child was fine when he was 10, 11, interested in a lot of things, and they got to be 12 and it dropped off. They're bored, not interested in what they're used to, and that is because of the brain, what's happening in the brain.
So all of a sudden, they initially were very active, and then there's this pruning taking place. So the whole point is you have to front end load them. So like load them with knowing how to do 10 things, because 15% of those things are going to fall off, and then they're going to have fewer things to pick that will make them excited, right? So
correct.
Dimensionalize that. Like, what is that scenario? What does that look like when someone is in, say, a not great scenario? So if they're somebody who watches TV and plays video games, what then happens to them in adolescence?
Right.
Tell me.
Sure. So if you have a child, elementary school, getting all A's, B's, very good student, loves school, comes home, does homework, does very good on the homework, finished with homework, plays a few video games, watches some TV, no violent games or anything like that. But that's all they have, and for whatever reason, that's all they're interested in. They get to be adolescents, 11, 12 years old. They maybe are no longer interested in video games. School is okay, and they still have to continue with school. TV is all right, but there's not enough thrill. And what happens when you get into adolescence too is the decrease in dopamine, and dopamine levels is a neurotransmitter responsible of making us feeling good. And that declines during adolescence because it's helping to develop the prefrontal cortex of the brain. When this happens, children become very interested in thrill seeking because
Right,
they don't have those activities. They don't have the dopamine available, so they create their own. That's what we see in thrill seeking. Drug and alcohol abuse, the same thing. They're finding some other ways to make their own dopamine to make them feel good.
So they're starting to partake in risky behavior. So it's kind of like a student had two things really to fall back on. They were watching TV and playing video games. When both of those things don't give them the thrill anymore, they've fallen off, that pruning has taken place, they're sitting around twiddling their thumbs, and then all of a sudden they're thinking, oh, well, risky behavior, let's go drive fast or try cocktails, or, you know, that's when that risky behavior comes in.
Let me give you an example of a child that we give them many different types of experiences. Okay. You might have a child, we provide him dance classes, sports, maybe Boy Scouts or Girl Scouts. They might play music, various types of, maybe going hiking with the family or running in the mornings or something like that. So you have experiences. When you give that child those experiences and they're pruned off, once they get into middle school and they're an adolescent, you know, some of the things might drop off. They're not interested in a few of those. They might just be interested in dance and maybe volunteering. Mm-hmm. Maybe when Boy Scouts and Girl Scout was pretty interesting to them and they like it. When they got into middle school, they realized there was a volunteer program. If they donate so many hours and they raise so much money, the winners get to go to Washington, D.C. This is a very big challenge for that child. They're at an age to where they're trying to do things more adult-like with supervision. It gives them that opportunity. It gives them the challenge. Their challenge is that they might get to go on this trip. They're away from their parents. It also gives them some self-efficacy that they can do something for themselves. And that's the dopamine there.
So that's then one of your recommendations is to encourage a wide variety of activities, because when a couple of them fall off, they have something else to fall back on.
So not only the activities, exposing the child to various types of activities, is also physical activities is extremely important, mm-hmm. and parental involvement. Having the parents involved, encouraging, having role modeling so the child sees the parent involved in various types of activities, whether they're sports or or whatever it might be. Having that participation is extremely important.
I think that's fantastic. If somebody is listening, and hopefully you are listening, and you want to learn more about it and find out other things that you can do to help your teen find that excitement and healthy behaviors, where do they go?
publichealth.lacounty.gov/IVPP.
Thanks so much, Jim. I really appreciate your time.
Thank you.
Thanks for being here. And please join us next time right here on My County and learn more about programs and services brought to you by Los Angeles County. Thanks, and see you next time.